Hello, welcome to this video. My name is Crypto Atlas. You can just call me Atlas if you would like. And I wanted to go ahead and tap into a couple things today for you. We're going to be focusing on what's going on with Bitcoin, with Ethereum, as well as there's a separate altcoin which has really caught my attention. And I've been noticing that a lot of the cryptocurrency YouTubers haven't really been talking about this. In fact, it's been just kind of getting brushed off to the side, and what kind of promising future that it looks like it's having. And I just want to make a quick disclaimer. I'm not a financial advisor, so anything that I share with you guys with this is just for educational purposes. In the end, you got to make your own decisions on what you do with this. And hopefully this does help you out, and hopefully you'll find out some interesting information. So the separate altcoin that we're going to be talking about today, it is called, I believe it's pronounced Orchid or Orchid. I wanted to call it Orchid, but then I've seen other people say that that's not actually how it's pronounced. So I believe it's pronounced Orchid. I do apologize if I'm not saying the name correctly, but that's not what we're really concerned about here today. And so let's go ahead and start with Bitcoin, and then I'll go ahead and go into a little bit with Ethereum and some relevancy of Orchid, with Chainlink, and also with the Ethereum, and also some things on social media that was shared that I didn't really see anybody talk about. So first things first, with Bitcoin, we are seeing a positive gain in the last 24-hour documentation. It's up just barely. So as of the time of this video, it's 9 o'clock my time. We saw a reset with this for about 4 hours ago. So it's right on that cusp, trying to figure out where things are going to go. But if you look right here, I went ahead and identified you have a 50-day and a 200-day moving average. The 50-day is going to be identified by this golden line right here. The black line is identified as the 200-day moving average. And some of you may not know what this really signifies. So this is important because it's also a sign of what's called a golden cross or a death cross. And if you look back here, we can see back on May 22nd, this was a good indication that we were starting a major bull run. Meaning that the price is going to be going up. When the short term crosses over the long term, then that's a good indication that there's price movement and the strength in the market. So down here we have what's called the RSI, or the Relative Strength Index, and you can see that currently we are not overbought. We're just a little bit above the actual median zone. So there is still room to grow based on an RSI scale, the Relative Strength Index, for it to continue going upwards. Something I do want to keep a note of, though, is you got these two red lines that I have as indicators. Now, in technical analysis, you typically are going to need to have like 3 different points of reference in order to be able to do a trend pattern. So if we go back here and we're looking on the daily chart, you can see that we do have 1, 2, 3 points of reference here, and we're creating what's called an ascending wedge pattern, which is actually more of like a bullish indicator, a bearish indicator. So this is signifying that there's a chance that it could be pushing down. Now, as far as for what zones that we're going to be looking for, if we're able to test and try and break, because right now we're at a point in range where the price of Bitcoin is going almost into untested waters. When you pass $14,000, the only other thing historically that we have to reference it to would be the $20,000 mark. So before we get to that, we do have a couple points if we pull back in time here to kind of see where we've tested and it's bounced off or tried to push its way through. And that would be right around here at the like $12,500 mark. So you can even see that as of recently, we did come up and we touched that green line right there, and we weren't able to break past that, and then we had a retracement back. So the movement of the market with the RSI, it just barely tapped that peak point before it was being considered to be overbought based on the RSI scale. The bottom line that we're looking at right here, this light blue line, this is going to be known as the support. And from what I could tell, it looks like we have a pretty strong form of support that's been established right around the $10,500 mark. If it passes down below that even, then we're probably going to be looking at testing around the CME gaps, which I believe was around $9,600, $9,700, right around in that range. So in this space, potentially, we might even see a consolidation, which means that the price isn't really going to go further above and beyond the form of resistance or down below the actual support line. If that happens, we're going to be just kind of bouncing between 10,500 and 12,500 until the market decides that it wants to have its next major move. There's a lot of indicators suggesting with the state of the economy, and also we have something coming up on September 7th, which is going to be for Labor Day, where the economy for the United States is going to have to make a really big decision. I mean, you got a lot of the financial support with the stimulus checks and things like that, and it's all basically going to be coming to an end. Renters support. And so how the Federal Reserve is going to react to this, and how the value of the dollar is going to kind of play out, and how economically with job losses and everything else, and still what's going on with coronavirus, a lot of unanswered questions. So definitely as we get closer to that point in time, we're going to want to kind of identify where things may end up leading in the future with that. But from a straight MACD, the moving average convergence divergence, we have that gold line again, short term, black line identified. I know I've got it on the black screen here, but you can see it here. Wanted this to be a little bit easier for your eyes, not as strainful if it's a white background, but hopefully you can see this. Let me know if you did have some issues seeing this. And yeah, we have a bullish trend going in that regard. We still have room to go with the RSI as well. And if we continue upwards consistently, that RSI is also going to make an adjustment. It's going to see a pattern of consistency in the growth. So we're not seeing these massive booms with that. Okay, so that's as far as with Bitcoin goes. Now, if we go over to the scale with Ethereum, we can see that Ethereum on the daily, sorry, let's swap that over to the daily. We see that Ethereum on the daily with the MACD is also on a golden cross bullish based pattern. This one is starting to push pretty close to the cusp for the RSI. So there's a chance that we might start to see a little bit of a pullback, but you can see that we've had a couple moments, not just one, we've had a couple moments recently where it did pass above, retrace back, and then actually exceeded above again. And it is having a pretty nice little vertical movement that's going up here. This is on a daily chart. So the Ethereum price over the last period in time is just barely down. So these are pretty bright, even moments. We're going to have to see how things kind of play out. As of the time of this video, it's a Thursday. So we're going to have the weekly close for the stock market on the Friday coming up here just tomorrow. And then the weekends oftentimes tend to be a lot more of the cool down. And as we kind of go into Sunday evenings, that's where we tend to see a little bit more volatility. But it's the cryptocurrency market. Technically, it's open 24/7. Anything can happen, especially if there's some crazy relevant news that comes out. So I'll try to keep you guys posted with things with that. So after that, we want to see the relevancy with this with some of the other things. And so the Ethereum blockchain, there's a lot of different cryptocurrencies that work off of that. And this is now where I want to kind of tie in with Orchid and with Chainlink. Man, I so badly want to say Orchid. I so badly want to just say that. Both Orchid and Chainlink are working off of the Ethereum blockchain. So if the Ethereum blockchain is actually strengthening, it's improving, it's getting better. There's a lot more support for the ecosystem of everything that works in conjunction with that. So recently, if you take a look over here at Orchid, I'm actually going to pull over to this chart right now. You can, well, actually, no, actually, I'm going to go back for a second. So if you take a look at this chart right here, you can see the price over the daily. It had this massive spike up. Okay. We scroll on down here. Whoops, I did not mean to do that. Scrolling down here, you can see for a long time on the daily, the Orchid had not really moved up and down in price that much. Just kind of this really long, flat, consolidated zone. In fact, when it first launched back around December of last year, you could see it had this big pump up and then immediately started to retrace. Bitcoin during that point in time had also seen a decline. So based on my observations, this was a bad time to launch because the whole ecosystem for crypto started to drop. And then we could also see that around the March period in time, same time when Bitcoin and Ethereum and everything else all started to drop. That point in time was even with the stock market dropping. So now if we progress on forward, even closer here towards modern time, Bitcoin started to have a big rally. Ethereum started to have a big rally. Chainlink started to have a big rally. Sorry that I'm scratching my nose. It just really itched there out of nowhere. But then you could see that it had this big boom up and then retraced almost half of that. And then the next day, we're just seeing this kind of steady progression down. So is this something really to take into consideration? Is it something worth your time and taking a look at, right? Okay, so let's take a look at a couple things. First off, did it have a massive boom up in a short period of time? Yes. Did it drop all the way back immediately right afterwards? Kind of, it pulled back about halfway through, and we're seeing a slow progression down except for where we're at the moment for the daily. So as far as whether or not this is a pump and dump, which like you can see down here, well, you can't see it, but I can see it. There's an article that came out 3 days ago where it's talking about Barstool's Dave Portnoy. He was saying in crypto you can pump and dump all day long, and he was trying to encourage all of his people to go out and like pump this thing and then drop it. Now if you look at the 17th, you can see that was actually the day after that this had a big push up. So it wasn't very successful. Even though he's a big figurehead as far as for trading and stuff goes, he's still really new to cryptocurrency space. And for him to open up his mouth and saying something like that, to me, that is a bad reflection of this industry. But anyways, that's just my biased opinion on that. Regardless, the facts are, did it help it out? No. The price went down. So his pump and dump push that he tried to encourage to do totally fell flat on its face. Now, if we take a look at this, you can see that volume had hit a very high. And I'm actually going to move this down here just a little bit. So not factoring in this irregularity, this big massive price volume spike that went up here, you can actually see that volume has had over the last week or so a steady progression down. And with the price itself also having steadily been moved down on the daily, this creates a descending wedge pattern, which is actually a bullish indicator. So there's a good chance that if we break through this form of resistance right here, we could see a continuation and movement of price up. And you do see right down here on the relative strength index, though, that it is on the precipice of breaking into an overbought territory. But you can see also that when the last time that it did that, it did have quite a bit of an exponential increase. So this is already up 7.24%. As I was preparing to make this video, this was actually in the negative, and I was getting ready to go into a separate narrative, but I'll go ahead and do it anyways, just in case this does play out over the next 24 hours. So something that you want to kind of notice here is that you have very tall wicks, which are these thin pieces here. That's the high, and then it dropped all the way down. Hit a high and drop down. And these are pretty thick wicks when you take a look at this a little bit more zoomed in. And one of the concerns is that we're going to be looking at another big push up for the day and then a further retracement down. And as this continues down, if it pushes into the negative, that top wick is going to be showing that there's a pattern that's been formed. Meaning that like for the daily, starts on this rally up, and then after they cash out what they can, then it continues to drop down. And that is starting to show more of a consistency of a pump and dump. Not just like a one-day major push, you're in and you're out and you're on to your next coin. It's saying that like, hey, they're doing it on a daily, and I would be very cautious of something like that. Personally, this is just my own opinion on this. I see a lot of promise for something like this, and here's one of the reasons why. If we go over here to TradingView and we don't go to the charts, we just look up Orchid, you can actually see that even with this big retracement that we had where we were up to like $1, we came all the way down. We're almost 50% down since its high. The technical charts are still suggesting a buy indicator. In fact, it's just a little bit leaning towards the neutral, but it's starting to bob and weave. Now we're up 10%. So again, by the time you guys see this video, it's very volatile right now, and that's one of the things that you need to be aware of with cryptocurrency. So then we go ahead and take a look at something else. We take a look at Chainlink. Chainlink right now is down 3.1%, 3.11%. Consistently though, over the last several days, this decline down, we've also been seeing that alongside with Chainlink. So you might be wondering, why am I relating Orchid with Chainlink? They're different applications, and Chainlink has been around longer. It's got, you can focus on all the things that differentiate these, but what I wanted to focus on is the similarities. And when you're looking at something as a potential investment opportunity, and you wish that you were there when Bitcoin was $100. You wish that you were there when Bitcoin was $1,000. You wish that you were there when Ethereum was $100, right? You look at all these different opportunities and you think, well, it could have theoretically failed. But if it worked and it moved on, then you would be where we are today and you would have seen massive gains. So the first rule of investing, the golden rule, right? Never invest more than what you're willing to risk to lose. So you have to look at this and say, okay, if you're going to invest into Orchid, and it goes all the way back, or it even goes worse, goes back into this like 20 cent, 25 cent range, and it never recovers from that, or it goes all the way to zero. The money that you put into this, if you lost that, are you okay with that? That's the first thing that you should be asking yourself. If the answer is yes, and you want to take an opportunity to move into this, then you can. Now, let me go ahead and give you some other reasons why I find that this is so valuable. Hopefully this is, if you've been looking this up and you notice that there's not a lot of videos on it, then hopefully this video will add a little bit more substance. And please, if you are watching this video and you find this information valuable, make sure that you do subscribe. Make sure you hit that like and drop a comment down below. The more that we can get of this, maybe the more attention we can get on this cryptocurrency, as well as this channel, and it lets me know that you guys enjoy this information and you want to see more of it in the future. So please don't forget to subscribe, hit like, and drop a comment down below. All three combined will really help us out. If you take a look at the CoinBase listing, you can see that Orchid is actually listed on this. But interestingly enough, it's listed towards the bottom. It's listed at number 26 with a market cap evaluation of $32.4 million, which is quite interesting for several reasons. CoinBase doesn't list 1,500 coins. CoinBase only lists 26 as of the time of this video. And when you look at Orchid, over on CoinMarketCap, its rank is 277. When this thing first came out, I believe it was even worse than that. So why would CoinBase, a reputable base company that only lists a limited supply of coins, out of everything that you could have, the top 100 coins on CoinMarketCap, right? There's 75 others just on that list alone that they could have picked from, that they could have added to their list to be number 26 instead of this random thing over here. So there's a couple of things that are going on. One, the application for this. This works alongside with the VPN industry. And what's interesting with this is that you can work on it on a more independent basis. So instead of having to pay a monthly fee service to use a VPN, you could use it on a case-by-case situation. Also, what's interesting is that it adds a higher level of security, because instead of using just one independent VPN provider to go through and to do your different things, if you want more, I just learned this, how to say this, and now I'm going to butcher it. Anonymity. Anyways, and to be I'll look it up again. To be even more anonymous, right? You actually have it cycle through, or hop, as they kind of say, amongst different VPNs. And so you're adding to the level of security. When you look at other cryptocurrencies and trying to have that level of privacy, and some of the reasons why people tend to go towards those, Orchid is a pretty good option for you to take a look at. And there's other applications that are also going through with this, and I'm going to go be talking over some of the other separate news. You can learn a lot more through their website with this. But here, let's focus on this for a second here. Chainlink, right? Massive gains. You wish that you would have been there when it was 50 cents back in April last year, right? Well, now it's gone all the way up to $15.50. Even with the drop in percentage, that's a massive gain if you got in when it was around 50 cents. And it even pushed as high as like $19. That's quite a bit of money. Look at the total supply. It's 1 billion. That's the total supply. Now let's take a look at Orchid. 1 billion. They're exactly the same as far as a total supply amount goes. Look at the circulating supply for Chainlink. This is 350 million link that is currently in circulation, 350. But Orchid is about a fifth of that. It's at 65 million Orchid. Why is this so important? Because it's easier for the price of something to go up when you have less in circulating supply. Because if the demand is high, the supply is low, that correlates saying that the price should be higher. A lot of people want something that's not readily available. Well, how much are you willing to pay for it? If there's a whole bunch available but not many people that really want it, okay, there's so much that's there. I shouldn't have to really pay or bargain for something like this. So that's a positive note as far as strictly on a total supply, circulating supply, potential growth for market cap. And we're looking at $32 million right now. And that's another thing that I want to tie into as well. The value of Orchid and why Coinbase basically brought this in is that when they did their initial startup, they had millions. I believe it was like 32 million, 42 million, somewhere around that range that they had already raised in helping to get start with their company. That's a really good foothold. To get investors willing to put that kind of amount of money to move your project forward is very, very promising. They also have a very good development team of people. And so those things combined led to the introduction into Coinbase, and they decided to say, hey, out of all these different projects out there, this looks very promising in its future. So with that being said, we go back to this list here. You can see that off of the top 26 coins, this is listed at the very bottom. The next one above it, as far as market cap goes, is $131.9 million. That's a big difference. That's almost a 5 times difference just as far as for it to the next one. That's not including as it moves up the scale. So if it was just to move up to be the equivalent to like numeraire or NMR, right? That's almost 5 times. And let's say it was 5 times. Current price of being 55 cents times that times 5, you're looking at about $2.50. That would break its all-time high that just happened of $1. And that would be a good profit investment as far as for its future. Some of the other things, why did it push so high during this time period? Was it really a pump and dump, or was there something more to it? I did a little bit of research. Orchid has a Twitter account, and there was 2 big things that stood out to me when I looked through their recent tweets. So on August 15th, my bad. August 15th, they said, Orchid is now available in Korean. Make new friends in our community at the Kakao Talk. Join now and learn more about the Orchid VPN and OXT, and they gave you the link. This has 117 likes, and it's exponentially higher in comparison to the August 14th push. But when we take a look at this on August 15th, let's go ahead and head back over here to the charts. And when did this big push happen? It went from August 15th through August 16th. As of the time when I looked at this tweet, I believe there was about a 3-hour time difference because this changes 5 p.m. Pacific Standard my time. So this all kind of had initiated itself from right about here, pushing through, but then technically it was into the next day. And yeah, so this big push was essentially around the same time that that tweet had gone out talking about it being released into the Korean market as well. But in conjunction with that, I wanted to scroll down. They retweeted something from Uphold. Remember, we're talking about the correlations between this and with Chainlink. So there was news, and this is association of Chainlink, Orchid, OXT, and OX, the ZRX, are now a fully integrated with Uphold, which means you can deposit and withdraw to external wallets as well as buy, hold, and send on the platform. So why is this so valuable? Well, there's a couple things. You got another resource in which you can purchase. If you have more markets that become available, and let's say you didn't have access to a previous market to buy something like this, the demand is increasing. In addition to that, you also have the association with Chainlink. In addition to that, you also have Uphold, which a lot of you may not realize, but if you have used the Brave browser, you can connect your wallet in association with Uphold. And Brave uses what's called the basic attention token. So there's now more of an ecosystem, more of a relationship of these different cryptocurrencies and them kind of being pulled in together. Anything can happen in this industry space. Orchid could completely fail. They could have new news that comes out that just absolutely blows this out of the water. But the fact is that it's not listed on the top 100 list. This thing is currently listed on CoinMarketCap at 277. And I've seen several different times very big cryptocurrency YouTubers, when they show the biggest gainers, the lowest gainers, they only focus on the CoinMarketCap top 100 list. They don't expand the list down. Now, I didn't find this by going through the top 200, top 300. I didn't work like that. What I did is I went on to CoinBase. something that only has a limited supply. And I wanted to see what had a low circulating supply currently, what had a low price threshold. It looks like it has high potential for yield returns. A lot of people use Coinbase. A lot of people do. And if people are looking for something that is easily accessible to them and it has a high potential return investment that could be the next big thing, application is not always necessarily the biggest thing. As far as the application goes for this, it sounds like it's got a very good format. It sounds like it's got a good promising future. And the projects that they're looking to develop in with this has a lot of potential, right? But then look at it from also another perspective. Look at Dogecoin. How much does an application like Dogecoin really have? But then look at all the social media influencing that went behind it that has pumped the price. People on TikTok saying like, hey, you know, like just invest your money in this and look at how much you could return if it did this return. And then the price, what happened to Dogecoin? It started going up. Doesn't really have any application, but because there was more of a demand for it, that yielded a higher return on your investment. So what could this do in the future, right? We could see an exponential increase. Hypothetically, what if this pushed the same levels as far as its total price goes to that of Chainlink? And you might think that that sounds ridiculous, but remember, they have the same total supply. Both of these, 1 billion, but circulating supply, Chainlink is leading with 350 million compared to 65 million. That's 5 times as much. So for Orchid, with where it's currently at and its circulating supply, to reach the same price point as Chainlink would have to do 1/5 the amount of work based on where it is at this exact moment. You have to work 5 times harder with Chainlink. Really listen to that, to get to its total market, to get to its total price value, not its market cap. Sorry. You have to work 5 times as harder with Chainlink to get that price movement per coin. And Orchid is on Gemini, it's on Coinbase, and now it's on Uphold. Imagine if they announced that they're going to Binance. Imagine if they made the announcement that they're going on to more exchanges. With the price movement that they've had recently, the profit gains that they must have just recently made as a company for the development of this, if you have the application fees for Binance, which don't quote me on this, but I think it's like $1 million to put in an application or something. If that actually was to go through, they have the funds to be able to apply and get this listed. And I think it would be very wise for them to do so. Whether they decide to do it or not, I don't know. What the future with this is, I don't know. But I'm sharing with you what I've been looking at as far as the news goes, what I'm seeing on the trend of the chart patterns. And if we see, in my opinion, Ethereum exponentially increase in the near future, that is a bullish indicator that Bitcoin will also see an exponential increase. And that will also show that a lot of the tokens and other cryptocurrencies that work on the Ethereum blockchain, those will see a very big exponential increase moving alongside with the Ethereum. So this, as it is right now, could be very well that short price point, high yield return investment, the opportunity that you're looking at. Look, as I'm recording this, it's up 13%. It's up to 56 cents already since I've been talking about this in this video. Is it a pump and dump? I don't know. There are signs that are indicating that. We need more time. With where it is right now, you have a retracement back, set up your stop losses. Figure out your profit margins, right? If you guys want me to look at more into that, I know this has been a pretty long video. It's actually been a very long video, but you know what? I'm happy with it. It's my first video, and I really wanted to go in depth into Orchid and also give you guys a little bit of a visual for Bitcoin and Ethereum and just give you a little bit more of a vibe for me, because on this channel, you're going to notice this is my first video. So if you like this information and you'd like to see shorter videos from now on, but along these kind of lines, then please make sure that you do hit that subscribe button. Make sure that you drop a like. I don't know, can we get to 50 likes? Can we get to maybe 100 likes? with it being my first video, I don't have a lot of expectations. I'm hoping that by covering Orchid, that the discoverability for this will get a little bit better. I know I should have said this stuff in the beginning, leading off my video with hitting the like button, subscribing, and drop a comment. But anyways, thank you guys so much. Let me know if you have any other thoughts on Orchid. Feel free to roast me in the comments if I am saying it wrong, even still, or if yes, I am saying it right. And if you have any questions, I'll try to do what I can to answer your guys' questions. I hope this video helped you. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next episode.